Hello, ladies, gentlemen, everyone in between and beyond. My name is Seth, and welcome back to the OverAchievers Podcast 2-year special, episode 24. Hi, I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite podcast on YouTube. Joining today is the very special guest, the person that I could not do the special without, Jons.
It's me, it's John, I'm here.
So, for those of you, if you clicked on it because it's Mass Effect, by the way, I'm covering Mass Effect, if you clicked on it because, it's a 2-year special, and you haven't seen any of these before, I started this podcast series, at this point, 2 years ago, because John and I were getting all achievements in the Dark Souls games, and I wanted to kind of talk about an experience, but the point being is, I've had plenty of friends, plenty of guests, none as special as John, no shade to anyone else, because, this whole thing started because John agreed to do all achievements in Dark Souls with me, and I wanted something to remember that time, like something to immortalize that experience on the internet somewhere. And it's carried on to this bigger, ever-growing thing over the last 2 years that I could not be happier with. And I'm really excited to see where it goes in the future. So I just wanted to say thank you, John, for being here. This podcast would not exist without you.
Well, thank you very much. It's always fun to do it, and I know we've been planning to record this as the 2-year special, but it literally just hit me that it's been 2 years.
How does it just hit you?
I don't know. It literally just hit me that we've been doing these for 2 years now. Like, I haven't been on every episode, but presumably we did the first one about 2 years ago, and that's just shocking to me at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. We're gonna
just wait till we hit 3.
We're very close to hitting the 10-year anniversary of you being on the channel. That's scary.
Oh god, no. Oh god.
Right? It's weird.
By the way, John has his own YouTube channel, Noiseberry Games. As always, will be linked in the description down below. Feel free to check that out. I've apparently been on there for almost 10 years, which is terrifying.
Yeah, Taylor has almost certainly been on that channel more than the guy I started with the channel with back in 2013.
Oh no.
I'm sure that's the case.
We'll investigate that. We'll get something ready for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so to break away from today's usual formula, in a rare case, John will be the host of today's episode, and I will be the only one answering the questions. So, John, I will let you take it away.
Excellent. Yeah, I don't get to talk about a game today. I just get to talk to my good pal Taylor about a game he hopefully likes. I guess we'll get into that. We'll find out if you still like it.
Oh, we'll find out, alright.
Okay, so, Taylor, what game are you going to talk about today?
So, I'm technically talking about 3 games in
Cheater.
one. It's kind of a cop-out. But it is the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, or Legendary Collection. I know they say edition, but it feels like it should be collection, because it is, 3 separate games in kind of just one package.
Legendary, edition doesn't really work for that case, does it?
Yeah, edition implies one game. Well, it is one, program or one folder, file, whatever you want to call it. It is technically all 3 Mass Effect games.
It's I played it for a couple of hours, I think, on the EA app, or possibly still Origin back then. I think it's it's a launcher, and then you get to the menu, and it's you pick the 3 games, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get to pick which of the 3 you want to play.
Okay. Did you played it on Steam, I assume?
I did.
Okay, excellent. So, how many achievements does the package have, I guess, and then each individual game? I don't know if you can see that. Probably not.
I did. So
okay.
What I did was I looked at a Steam guide because it broke down which ones are applicable to ME1, ME2, and ME3. But then, so this is weird. So I'll go into a brief description. If you haven't played a Mass Effect game, which I'd be amazed if you at home listening haven't. It was during BioWare's golden age. I love BioWare. We'll get more into BioWare later. And you play as Commander Shepard, the male or female commander in the Navy who leads the forces leads your forces against the evil Reapers or Protheans or whoever you tend to be fighting. And it's just this big space opera with a whole bunch of choices and romances and all this other stuff. And this is just the collection of all 3 games because you play as the same character throughout all 3 in an ever-growing storyline that had a really, really garbage ending. We'll get there. So, funnily enough, this game, or collection, I guess, has a different number of total achievements than if you were to put the 3 games together in their original versions.
Oh, interesting. So they removed some or they added some for the collection?
Yeah, they removed some.
That's
so the collection
positive.
Does. yeah, I don't know. I would have to look at what they removed because I didn't look thoroughly to what they removed. I just know there's fewer of them.
Okay.
So it's kind of weird. The collection in total has 127 achievements.
That's actually less than I was
11
expecting.
of those. Right?
Yeah, for 3 games. Okay.
Now 11 of those are like Legendary Edition specific. Like they only exist in Legendary Edition and are for things that you kind of have to do across all 3 games.
Right, because you can transfer your save data, right, from like 1 to 2 to 3, so your character goes across the 3 games.
And so do your decisions. So like you have things you need to do to accomplish those Legendary Edition specific achievements, which I will be mentioning.
Okay.
There are 34 from ME1, 44 from ME2, and 38 from ME3.
It's all like 44 is kind of about what I was expecting, but the other 2 like definitely slightly below what I would have expected for a game like this.
Yeah, they definitely seem to cut more from MEs 1 and 3. Now, the Legendary Edition does include, like, I think 99% of the DLC for all the games. There might have been 1 or 2 that were cut just because they weren't very good, which definitely would have removed an achievement or 2. But it seems like they've either removed achievements people didn't like or kind of streamlined the experience.
Okay, that's positive. I mean, it is supposed to be, like, an enhanced collection, so that makes sense if they'd, get rid of some of the tedious achievements, possibly. So that's... I'm not that familiar with Mass Effect. It's not my thing. I don't like sci-fi.
What?
I got so bored of Mass Effect 1, I just gave up on the whole collection.
Oh my god.
Yeah, blasphemy for you, I assume.
Not really. We'll get into it.
Okay. Is Andromeda, is that like a completely separate thing?
So, okay, I have watched a full playthrough on Andromeda. I have it ready to go because I do want to do the AA for that eventually. I've not personally played very much of it. Basically, Andromeda is a separate storyline where they fled the initial Milky Way galaxy because of the threat of the big aliens. And this was like a separate initiative to save at least a portion of humans by sending them to another galaxy along with the Krogans, the Asari, the Turians, and just a few handful of alien species that we'd recognize from the series. But it is a brand new storyline that does not relate to Commander Shepard, outside of, the fact they came from the Milky Way galaxy while Shepard was trying to fight off the Reapers.
Okay, so not included in the collection, and it makes sense if this is kind of like the Commander Shepard experience, I guess. Okay.
Which they should have called it the Commander Shepard collection.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, the Mass Effect Legendary collection. I mean, that's quite a bog standard.
Generic title?
Yeah, exactly, generic title.
Yeah, it's rough.
Okay, so I'm assuming this probably wasn't your first time playing these games.
So, okay, this is weird. I have a strange history with Mass Effect. Okay. So, I originally played 2 and 3 on the Xbox 360. Why I picked up Mass Effect 2 at a Blockbuster, having never played the first one, I have no idea.
That is an interesting decision.
I didn't even think of it. I was just a kid, man. But the nice thing is you could play each game as its own independent story. Yes, you would not have the history and, the knowledge of some of the existing characters, but everything is explained to you in a way that you can just get by with what you're learning in that particular game.
Right. And I think they give, a little bit of a recap or something, when you start them, right? This is what happened in the first game, something like that?
In Legendary Edition, yes. In the originals, no.
Oh, okay. So when you played 2 for the very first time, you were just, bam, into a story with all these established characters.
Pretty much.
That is unfortunate.
Well, I mean, I was okay with it because, you meet, especially with 2, you meet a lot of new characters.
Right. That
kind of helps set up the story, and then 3 is more, the nostalgia characters in the beginning. So I was more established for 3 by the time I got there. But yeah, for some reason, I just jumped into 2, played 3, never even touched number 1 before the Legendary Edition.
Interesting. Because I also did not play them back in the day. I got the Legendary Edition. I started with 1 because that's the starting point. And, a few hours in, I was Googling does this game get any better, or should I skip 1? And a lot of people are like, you could probably skip 1, like it's not that good. So
and that's fair.
did you? I don't know if like now is the time to get into that, but did you find that 1 was difficult to get into, or were you kind of prepared for it because you had played the other games back in the day?
I think because I'd played the other games, I really got in them. I liked Mass Effect at the time. I'm not the biggest sci-fi fan either.
Mm-hmm.
I'm way more fantasy, but one of my favorite YouTube channels, outside of Noiseberry Games, of course, but also run by a Brit named Jon, spelled the same way as yours, that I've mentioned before, is Many a True Nerd. And he has done multiple series on the Mass Effect, series, franchise, whatever you want to call it. And his videos, his passion for the games, really got me into the series, and gave me kind of this pre-exposure to number 1, so I had a rough idea of what I was getting into before I played it.
Okay.
Which I think made it a lot easier for me to digest.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it definitely felt dated when I played it.
No, and absolutely it is. I can't remember what it originally released.
Yeah, a long time ago, like pre-2010, I assume.
I think you're right. It might have been like 2009.
Yeah, pretty early.
Oh God.
I mean, do we? Yeah, we get into playtime. I'm assuming you have not gone back to these games since you got all achievements, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Nope.
Okay.
No, I have absolutely not. My same rule still applies. When I get all achievements,
Right.
I'm saying goodbye and leaving it forever.
Right. That's fair. I think we'll probably get you to break that rule at one point, maybe.
I mean, Elden Ring is one of the only things that will do it,
Elden Ring and
because of the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC.
oh hell yeah, they better add achievements.
I doubt they will.
Probably won't. Okay, how long did it take you to get all achievements?
So this is an interesting one. Now, I don't have like a per game breakdown, but the total time was 127.9 hours,
Oh
so I might as well
God.
call it 128.
Okay. Jeez, were you going for all achievements from the start, or did you start a casual playthrough and then decide to do all achievements?
I went for AA right out the gate. So normally what I'll do is I'll play a game casually, put it down for a few months, and then if I decide I want to go for all achievements, kind of come back to it. But because I had played 2 out of 3 games previously years ago, I went into it with that expectation of, okay, let's just do this. Let's get it done because it'd be an interesting journey.
Right, you knew you liked 2 of the games enough to go for all achievements, so you assumed that you would just start from the beginning and go for all achievements.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it took you 128 hours, we're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know how long it takes people on average?
According to how long to beat, the median for like a completion playthrough is 132 hours.
Nice.
So I'm a little short of that average.
Very good. Is that how long to beat page specifically for the Legendary Edition?
Yes.
Okay. So I know we've run into issues with that site with, not having or with having to combine like all versions of a game, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's good. So
no, this is specifically Legendary, yeah.
Perfect. So you like just got under the average.
Sounds about right for my normal.
Okay. All right, let's get into the achievements then. Unless you had anything else you want to talk about before we get into the achievements.
No, not particularly.
Okay, so what were the hardest and easiest achievements for you?
So, okay, I'm gonna break this down per the collection into like the collection specific achievements, then per game.
Okay, so the collection specific achievements are like out of 11 achievements, I think you said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're doing like kind of 4 for each category.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Well, technically, it's weird. There was no real easiest achievement, I guess. For you know what, I'll do the easy achievements and then we'll go on to hardest because this is going to be more interesting.
You just wing it.
For easiest achievements, in the Legendary Edition specific category, it was just like kill 100 enemies across the 3 games, or like kill 500 enemies, something like that.
That sounds quite manageable.
So it's very, very basic. Oh yeah, super, super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Right.
Then oh boy, what did I have here? Oh, you know what? I put hardest. I forgot to put easiest. I'm really bad at my own podcast. That's fantastic.
You didn't come up with easiest for any of them?
No, but just give me two shakes of lamb's tail and I can get those.
Okay, sounds good.
So I'll tell you what, we'll continue with hardest.
Start with hardest.
Yeah, okay. So hardest for this one, at least again in the legendary specific category, is definitely the insanity achievements. So like, beat the game on the highest difficulty. But the problem is that there's one for beating all 3 games on insanity. So like there's 3 separate achievements for being 1, 2, and 3 on insanity, and then one for being all 3 of them on insanity. So I'm gonna go with the all 3, given that is again the legendary specific one there.
Okay, I assume. Did you have to start like from the very beginning? Have to start on the hardest difficulty because you knew you would have to get this achievement at some point?
Yeah, so what I did for some of them is I did like a normal difficulty playthrough and then did New Game Plus for Insanity just to get some of like those benefits.
Okay.
Because Insanity can be rough in some of these.
Yeah, I was wondering, like that is basically playing on the hardest difficulty for 128 hours sounds draining.
Yeah, no, I've absolutely tried to make that as easy as possible by doing the normal difficulty playthrough and then doing an Insanity difficulty playthrough for all of the games.
Okay, so you basically played all 3 games twice. Okay.
Listen, I never said I was smart.
Honestly, that sounds like the smartest way of doing it because, yeah, like playing on the hardest difficulty all the way through right from the start sounds horrible.
So it's called Insanity 3. It's just complete all 3 games on Insanity. So yeah, that was definitely the hardest for Legendary specific. Now moving into Mass Effect 1. The hardest here is called Archivist. This is where you have to find all primary alien council races, extinct races, and non-council races codex entries. And finding the keepers specifically is a giant pain.
This is basically like lore entries, I assume?
Yeah, so you have to find the lore entries on all like the major alien races in the game, not just the ones you encounter, but also extinct races and other races that you come across in the game. And it's not always just, fight this enemy, get the codex. You have to find specific items in the world or in a map that give you those particular codex entries.
Okay. Do you remember like how many entries it was in total?
No, I don't. Give me a second here.
Okay. I'm making you research every question here.
And that's fine with me.
That's what happens when I'm the host.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Okay, so there's not that many, but I assume like they're kind of hidden then?
Oh, a lot of them are very hidden, all in different areas, especially the keepers. I had to use a video guide to find it because you have to run around the Citadel to like 3 different levels and find 3 different entries about them to complete the codex.
Oh jeez, you know it's tough when you have to use a video guide rather than just a text guide.
Yeah, because like most of these you can't just find one thing and like completes the codex. You have to find multiple entries to fully complete that codex.
Oh, I see. It's not like one item per codex.
Oh, I wish. I
God.
wish so much.
That sounds dreadful.
Okay. It was not fun. For Mass Effect 2, it's actually Weapon Specialist, so fully upgrade a weapon. This is only because I missed finding certain upgrade parts. So it's not just based on game progression. You have to find the weapon upgrades out in the world and then apply them to your weapon later. So it's again one of those things where you're searching around the open world everywhere. I had to use video guides to find some of these upgrade parts because every weapon has their own upgrade tree, meaning you have to find individual parts for every single weapon. You have to get one of them fully upgraded, and it's a giant pain.
Jeez, so yeah, like on the surface, that achievement doesn't sound like it would be the hardest, but it sounds like there's a lot of scouring the world in these games.
There's so much, and like even just scanning abandoned worlds where you don't go down onto the planet, you just extract the resources and you found a weapon upgrade, and I think you get like 10 plus weapons in the game that any one of them could be, fully upgraded.
Right. Okay.
And each one has multiple upgrade parts, so it's like you may be looking for one specifically, and it doesn't upgrade by like specific weapon, it's more by weapon category. But you may be looking for like your handgun upgrade, and then you find another assault rifle upgrade, a shotgun upgrade, and it's just so spread out that it's hard to find absolutely everything you need.
Yeah, that one sounds like a pain as well.
And for Mass Effect 3, we come to Hijacker, which is hijack an Atlas mech. So this one's really annoying because basically there are giant mechs in Mass Effect 3 that you have to like shoot the glass container to break it, and then you have to get in, like run up to them, melee attack the pilot, and then take over the mech without destroying the thing in the process.
Okay.
So like if you miss a shot and you hit the mech in like the arm or like the leg, or even the non-breakable part of the glass, that does more damage to the mech's body, which means you're way more likely to just blow up the mech than you are to break the
I
glass.
see. Okay, that sounds annoying.
Especially with your teammates shooting at it as well, because you can set certain behaviors with the AI, but not as many as I would like. And one of them is, don't be as aggressive when attacking. But there are a number of times where I've broken the glass, and then my ally has just finished off the mech, just killed it while I was trying to run up to him. Like that's the opposite of what I wanted.
That also sounds like surprisingly tedious to have to get. Like, it doesn't seem like it would be that difficult on the surface, but the game just works against you, it sounds like.
Oh, absolutely. It's rough.
I do admire that you had a different hardest for all three. It wasn't just like upgrade a weapon for all three was the hardest or something like that.
And it's weird too, because like what they expect you to do in every game is different, and their upgrade systems have also changed, but it's because something like maybe not upgrading the weapon, because that was too but things like getting X number of kills with certain powers or using certain powers X number of times is relatively consistent. You can kind of get into a groove with that among the three games. But it's when they ask you to do something different or game specific that it becomes a major pain.
Right, yeah.
And then honestly for easiest, this one I could go with Recruit, which is kill 250 enemies in Mass Effect 1, 2, or 3. Like, you could kill 250 in, like, one of them and you're fine.
Oh, okay.
But I think I'm gonna go with Long Service Medal, which is just finish Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 with the same character.
With the same character being, like, the Commander Shepard you, like, transfer across games?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's not technically the easiest per se, but, like, it's the one that I think, without being absolutely brain dead, would quantify as the easiest.
It's very much the intended way of experiencing that collection, I assume, is making your character at the very start and then carrying it all the way through instead of, like, abandoning them and making a new character at the start of each game.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, too, carrying over those decisions you made from previous games really affects how certain stories play out.
Right. So yeah, it would be very silly not to do that. Okay.
Now, I kind of hate it because the easiest for any of the other games, or any of the games in particular, could just be, complete the tutorial mission, or, like, have, this person with you.
It is the easiest.
So, I'm gonna say the easiest, not, like, mission-specific or character-specific achievement, is gonna be First Aid Specialist, which is use Medigel 50 times. Heal yourself 50 times.
Okay, yeah, that sounds pretty easy, especially if you're playing on the hardest difficulty. I assume you probably surpass 50 quite a bit.
Yeah, you really do.
Okay. Yeah, that one makes sense.
Easiest. Again, I'm trying not to look for, like, character-specific or mission-specific achievements, because those just kind of feel like a cop-out.
Those are, I assume, like, kind of gimmies. Like, you're not gonna miss those, especially, like, the mission-specific ones. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with, for Mass Effect 2, I'm gonna go with Operative, which is complete a mission discovered by scanning an unexplored world. So, in Mass Effect 2, you can go up to all these little worlds, and you can scan them for resources by just shooting probes onto them. But also, shooting these probes can sometimes reveal small missions or things for you to do, and if you do one of these missions, you just get an achievement for the first one.
Okay. Sounds very difficult to miss again.
Yeah. And for number 3, again, there's a lot that are just super gimmies. I'm gonna say Shopaholic, visit a store on the Citadel.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
where you can hear the iconic line, "Hi, I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite shop on the Citadel."
Is that like an in-game, like, ad or something?
So, okay, what you can do is, and this is a meme, especially there's a Steam reviewer whose he like is just Commander Shepard. Whose Steam reviews are, "Hi, I'm Commander Shepard. This is my favorite game on Steam." You can walk up to any store in the Citadel, which is kind of like the hub world, and you can basically say, "Hey, if I endorse you as like, this celebrity, as this major figure, will you give me a discount?" And all you have to do is record the voice line, "Hi, I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel." And you can do that with every single like shop that you can go to. So every single one, when you walk in, you're just gonna hear your own voice saying this is your favorite store in the Citadel.
That's hilarious, actually.
So yeah, it can get a little annoying, but it's just so funny because everyone has the same exact voice line.
That's very funny. I like that.
It doesn't even say this store specifically. It doesn't tell you what that store is. It's just like, nope, this store. Just generically, this store.
It's nice. You can just reuse it. It's perfect. Makes sense. Okay, so those were the hardest and easiest achievements. So outside of these ones, what were the most and least fun? I can't wait to hear what the least fun were if some of those hard ones weren't the least fun.
Okay, so I did make sure to get both of these. I don't know why I didn't get both for the last question.
That's good.
Do we want to start with least or most? What would you prefer?
Let's start with the good, the most fun.
Okay. So for the, what was it called? Legendary edition. Wow, it's so generic.
So generic. Very forgettable.
For the legendary specific achievement, I went with Paramour 3. So Paramour 3 basically means you romance a character in the first game, you re-romance them in the second game, and then you re-romance them again in the third game.
Okay, you stay faithful all through the 3 games?
Well, I mean, you can stay faithful, or you can romance someone else and then go back to a character.
Oh, okay.
At least certain characters. Now, I will say, I romanced Liara in all 3 games because out of the few available options for a romance that can carry on through all 3 games, she is the best one.
Okay.
Now, I would argue that in terms of like romanceable characters, Garrus is my favorite, but I don't usually romance him because I'm usually a male Shepard, just being all bro buddy cop with him.
Okay.
Listen, Garrus is fantastic. Okay. Sure. But I did play a female Shepard in this playthrough, just I felt like it not something I normally do, and I made sure to romance Liara because she was the most interesting character that, again, you could carry through all 3 games, and it feels like you can see how your relationship develops and changes as the story unfolds and as the events that have occurred to Shepard unfold.
Okay. When you say you have to re-romance them in 2 and 3, does your relationship status not carry over between the games? Or is this like spoilers or anything?
It technically does, but of course each game finds a way to separate you from your crew.
Right.
So like in the second game, right at the beginning of the game, you die. Like you genuinely die.
Right, yes.
And a company spends 2 years bringing you back to life.
Right. Okay, so yes, 2 years have passed. It makes sense you have to re-romance, I guess.
And in the third game, you've been basically court-martialed for 6 months and have had to stay on Earth, and for some reason no one else has really stuck with you, and you're like, oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
And then you just re-recruit everyone because they're off doing their own thing, trying to deal with the Reapers.
Interesting. Okay, that makes sense. I didn't quite know what what re-romancing entailed, but that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I don't know, like, Liara's a great romance, but I wish beyond, like, any reasonable amount that I could romance Rex. Rex is just fantastic.
Is Rex a dinosaur?
Rex is the Krogan.
Is Krogan like a frog?
Kind of.
Really?
He's like a frog mixed with a dinosaur, but always angry and wielding a shotgun.
Oh yeah, that guy. He looks pretty cool.
His personality is
does
great.
Look a bit like a frog, yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, alright, fair enough.
So, funny enough, that actually leads me into my funnest achievement for Mass Effect 1, which is Krogan Ally. You have to take your Krogan companion, aka Rex, with you on at least 5 missions. And I love Rex. I love his personality. I love everything about him. He's just the best.
That's a nice achievement.
Okay, he's the best alongside Garrus.
Okay.
Which would also give me Turian Ally, which is take Garrus along on 5.
So you went for both of those pretty quickly, I assume.
Yeah, I did. I will say, though, and spoilers if you've never played Mass Effect 1, you can choose to have Rex killed.
Oh.
So you can, and we'll get into this, you can kind of stop yourself or soft lock yourself from that particular achievement.
Oh, I see. Yeah, we'll get into the soft locks.
So that's why I picked Rex, because A, he's so much fun, and B, he is one of the few that you can like properly lock yourself out of in the first game.
Interesting. Okay, I'm looking forward to hearing more about that.
Yeah, so in Mass Effect 2, I actually went with Merciless. So this is make 20 enemies scream as they fall or are set on fire.
Oh my god.
This was just funny because it's just telling you, hey, be a pyromaniac.
That screams
and they
fun.
do scream. Like, they do scream.
That is horrific. So what do you have to do to get this achievement?
Just use your incinerate ability or use incendiary ammunition.
That's kind of
Yes,
fucked.
that goes against the Geneva Convention.
Is there a Geneva Convention in Mass Effect?
I don't actually know.
I'm guessing not.
Probably not.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up.
It's just so much fun.
Also kind of messed up, you said that was your most fun achievement.
I mean, yeah?
Are they like space
Not gonna
Nazis?
lie.
Are you killing space Nazis with fire?
I mean, you're killing a lot of people.
Okay. Questioning a lot about
Not all of them are bad people.
Jesus. Hopefully you weren't burning the not bad people.
I can't remember, it's been so long.
Okay, fair enough. I would do the same, I'm sure.
And for Mass Effect 3, I went with Last Resort, which is just doing the Citadel DLC, or I think it's like the Shore Leave DLC, I can't remember the name for it. Because it is genuinely one of the best missions in the entire franchise. Because it happens, you're supposed to do it canonically right before the end of the game of Mass Effect 3, and it basically... It's like the beach episode of an anime, but in a video game. You get everyone together to hang out and party at one of your allies. Like, he has a place on the Citadel, so you go to his house, you get absolutely wasted, you have a great party where you're just talking and dancing and goofing around with everyone. That then leads into the stereotypical comic book trope of there is a clone version of you that's evil. That is trying to take over your ship and then take over the galaxy, that you have to stop him or her.
Okay.
And then there's this joke where you get trapped in a stasis pod by your clone, and you're talking to your friends. They're like, guys, I don't really sound like that, right? I don't sound like this ridiculous thing. And they're like, well, yeah, you kind of do.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of good comedy moments, and they really. It lets you connect with almost every companion from all 3 games because you invite them up for a party, and B, it gives you that kind of, it lets you say goodbye to a lot of these characters, but gives you, it's not that like super somber, sad goodbye. It's a happy, thank you for being here, thank you for all the fun, I'll see you on the other side kind of goodbye.
Right, and I assume it's also like kind of a nice bit of levity before, the presumably slightly bleaker finale of the game.
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. That sounds very good.
Mm-hmm. And then for the least fun, here we go. There's not really one for Legendary Edition because there's nothing really terrible in terms of what they've done specifically. I'll probably just throw in the Insanity achievements again just because it was the hardest and was kind of a slog.
Fair enough, yeah.
For Mass Effect 1, it is completionist. Complete the majority of the game.
That was the least fun.
Yes,
complete the majority of the game?
Yeah, so here's the thing. It doesn't just relate to story missions. You have to do story missions, side missions, find codex entries, and get your overall completion rating up.
Okay.
So it's like you have to find... It's like trying to go for 100% completion, and it's just... Some of the things I had to do were so tedious that I wouldn't have had to do it if it was not for this achievement.
Okay. I have several questions about this one.
Yeah, go for it.
So, majority. You don't have to 100% it.
So, okay, hang on. According to the Steam guide that I'm looking at that gives me the definition for these achievements, the majority here means completing 50 mission/assignment out of the 76 available in the game.
That's barely majority.
Right?
Okay.
Be aware, however, the game seems to have forgotten how to count, and there are reports of the achievement requiring more than 50 missions to be completed before it unlocks. Somebody in the comments reported having to get 72.
Oh my god.
I personally unlocked mine when I reached 46. In that sense, the only advice I really have is to finish missions until it does. Also, make sure you've unlocked this achievement before you cross the point of no return, as you won't be able to do anything else after that point.
Okay, so...
And there's also, like, and a lot of these side missions you have to find out in the world.
Right. So, yeah, it sounds very vague, and it does sound like majority is the perfect word for it.
Yeah, and it's like, it's so inconsistent with people's experiences. I don't know exactly how many I had to do before it triggered, but part of the reason this was not fun for me is I was so worried as I went through the game that I had missed something.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And I was like,
sounds like it would kind of ruin the experience, having this achievement hanging over your head the whole time.
Yeah, at least give me an actual figure, not just a vague, oh, do a majority.
Yeah.
What is majority?
Yeah, that is very, very strange. I don't think I've ever heard of an achievement like that.
So yeah, a lot of, and we'll kind of address this, a lot of the achievements have not been changed in terms of their criteria from when the game's originally released, just to try to keep that posterity.
Right.
So I feel like that is definitely a leftover, so to speak, of an earlier time.
Okay, fair enough. Was that kind of achievement, I don't know if you're going to get to it, but was that kind of achievement in 2 and 3 as well, or was that only in 1?
That is a number 1 specific.
Okay, that's good. Promising.
Mm-hmm. They kind of learned from their experiences there.
Good. Not enough to take it out of the Legendary Edition, but...
No. Okay. And then number 2 was... ME2 was Tactician hit 20 different targets with multiple biotic powers to combine the effects. So this is basically like you want to hit them with 2 different magic powers at the same time to create what's known as a biotic explosion. The problem I encountered was half the time either my timing would be off and I'd be floating the person in the air, I'd shoot like an energy ball at them. The black hole would disappear right before the energy ball hit them and therefore not create the effect. Or someone would like stop me from shooting another biotic power at it.
Okay.
I also have a tendency to not play biotic characters. I'm usually the boring either soldier type or more of like an engineer. I think I did biotic for Mass Effect 1, but not for 2. I looked up a guide as to what like the best class for each game to beat on Insanity was. And I didn't make a separate save file just for like this achievement. But yeah, this one I remember being a giant pain to try to get my squad mates to do the things I wanted them to do at the times I wanted them to do it.
Yeah, that sounds frustrating. So it was mostly down to like your AI companions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Very annoying. I assume like you would never have got this during your like casual playthrough. Like you had to specifically go out of your way and like tweak your character in order to get this achievement.
Yeah, I had to definitely replay some missions to try to get this. And like you can't go into a mission select, but there is a combat arena that's unlocked with one of the DLCs, so I could go back and do that multiple times.
Oh, okay.
But again, even lining that up, because like I'd select the guy floating in the air and they'd shoot the energy ball and it'd just go to one of the guys that's, shooting at you on the ground, so it doesn't create the combo effect because you're hitting 2 different people at that point. It's like, that's not what I wanted you to do.
That sounds really, really annoying, really frustrating.
Yeah, the controls are not the best, even when it's your character firing the thing.
Jeez. Okay, so that was 2.
And then, yep, Mass Effect 3 is the one and only defeat a group of Spectre-level opponents on normal, hardcore, or insanity. So this goes back to that arena that I was just talking about, and basically you can fight a group of really hard enemies. This is basically like you get to... I think it's around 20 in the combat arena, and then you get to fight like the really hard ones. Even on normal, these guys are a giant pain. Because like they've got a whole bunch of really high-powered weapons, good armor, like lots of abilities. It is a hard fight no matter what difficulty.
Okay, so it's just kind of like a secret super boss kind of fight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of.
And it wasn't fun?
No, it was a slog I had to do so many times because so many of them have rocket launchers, and just they're shooting you all over the place, and you're just trying to keep up with them.
Man,
I also think I tried to do this on Insanity, and then I had to go back to my casual playthrough and do it on normal, and even then it was hard.
Jeez, at least they let you do that one on any difficulty. That's nice.
Yeah.
But still sounds very difficult.
Yeah, it was not great.
Were the controls at least like more manageable in 3? Because like 3 was probably like 8 years ago or something still.
Yeah.
Okay, so still kind of dated
I
controls.
feel so old. Yeah, the controls are definitely better, but it's still not to the level you'd want it to be to do something like this.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
So like it's not terrible by any means, but it's just not great.
Not ideal for quite difficult combat.
No, especially too if you don't take the right allies. Like they're just, oh my god, Mass Effect 3 came out in 2012.
No way! Oh my god.
March 6th, 2012. It's over 12 years old now.
Okay, so yeah, that's really not that like modern controls at this point.
No.
Jeez,
that hurts.
1 must have been like mid 2000s then.
Yeah, because Mass Effect 2 was 2010, and Mass Effect 1 was 2007.
Jeez. Okay.
And I mean, they did kind of modernize the controls a bit, but it's not to the level you would want it to be.
No.
For some of these challenges, I don't know how anyone would have done this when it first came out, like on the console, at time of release.
Yeah. No. Yeah, they were on PC, I think. But yeah, I assume most people
they might have
probably played on like Xbox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would have been rough because I played with mouse and keyboard and like it was hard. I can't imagine controller.
Yeah. Oh my god, no. Controller like 30 FPS, 720p sounds wonderful.
Oh.
Okay, so what was the rarest achievement for this collection? Or are you doing overall collection in each game? I don't think you can do that, can you?
No, unfortunately not. I would have to. I mean, I can technically do one full. I can see. Yeah, I can see it. Okay, this is interesting. Let's start off with. We'll do the legendary collection as usual. So Insanity 3, complete all games in Legendary Edition.
Understandable,
Or
I think.
Legendary difficulty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny enough, that is not the rarest. That is the second rarest overall.
Oh, okay.
Then, going to Mass Effect 1, neutral shot... So, Insanity 3 has 3.3% completion. Mass Effect 1, the hardest one was Neural Shock Specialist. Use Neural Shock 25 times, which is just one of the abilities a certain class gets. That is 4.4%.
Wow.
Mass Effect 2, hey, it's the one I mentioned. Tactician, hit 20 different targets with multiple biotic powers to combine the effects.
Okay.
5.8%.
Okay.
And then, at the hardest achievement on the entire list is Mass Effect 3's the one and only defeat a group of Spectre-level opponents on normal, hardcore, or insanity.
Wow, that's even rarer than doing the whole game on the hardest difficulty.
That is 2.7%.
That's wild.
So, I'm not surprised by half of these.
No, yeah, from what you said, especially about the last 2 achievements, it's no wonder people didn't get them. Like, they're very difficult with awkward controls, and they're things you're never gonna do in like a casual playthrough.
Absolutely not. Oh, that I feel validated now.
Yeah, that's good. That's interesting. I'm glad you could tell like what were the 4 rarest, I guess.
Because yeah, like half the time when I say, "Oh, this was the hardest for me," I look at like what the rarest ones are, and it's nowhere close to the rarest. And I'm like, how is it? People are doing this so easily compared to whatever. But no, this makes me feel validated.
Validates you quite a bit there. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, thank God.
Okay, what was the most memorable achievement for you?
So again, have all 4 here.
Okay.
For the Legendary Edition, it is Paramore 3, which is again establish or rekindle a romantic relationship. Okay, so technically you can just establish a romantic relationship. You can romance different characters. I didn't even read that first part. I was just like, oh, rekindle. So I chose to keep that same romance going in all 3 games.
Oh, but...
And so you could just establish a romance with different characters.
Like a different person each game and still get that achievement.
Yeah. You can just be an absolute slut.
Interesting.
Which, I don't know. Like, to me, this feels like it should be just... Well, okay, I shouldn't say that, because I don't want to limit player choice here.
Yeah.
I think it is more impactful that I rekindled the same romance, because, again, it felt like an actual growing relationship between Shepard and Liara.
Right.
As the events of the games unfolded, as their personal statuses, their relationship statuses, and the status of the world changed over time.
Right. It's nice that the choice is there.
And Liara, as far as I know, is one of the few characters who will forgive you in Mass Effect 2 if you romanced a different character, because she's a teammate in Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 3. She is technically a side character that you meet about 2/3 of the way through the story in Mass Effect 2. And she'll be like, listen, I thought you were dead. You had no idea where I was. I'm not going to blame you for getting into this relationship, but if you want to continue with us, you're going to have to break off that current.
Oh, that's nice.
Which you can choose to do, and I did not establish a relationship because I knew Liara was coming back.
Yeah, you just waited for her. That's nice.
Plus, a sorry blue lady pretty.
Yes, indeed.
It's one of like the only like real alien-looking humanoids that they have outside of like the Turians.
Right.
Which I think Garrus is awesome on a personality level. I don't find his physical appearance attractive.
Right.
But he's kind of like a shrimp. I don't know how to describe Garrus.
But Liara at least looks
I'll put him on screen right now because like he's great, but he's not the prettiest guy.
Okay. And if you're listening to the audio version, imagine a shrimp.
Imagine a shrimp in blue armor, but he's voiced by... Oh, who's Garrus' voice actor? Hang on. He's a really famous voice actor.
Okay. If you're listening to the audio version, imagine Garrus from Mass Effect, because you've probably played Mass Effect.
Fair. Honestly, fair. Brandon Keener.
Ooh.
Hang on.
You said he was...
I'm looking up his IMDb.
Okay. I was expecting you to say like Troy Baker or something, because you said famous.
No, thank God.
What?
He voices Samael in Persona 5 Tactics, or Tactica.
Jeez, really?
Yeah.
He's still going. I mean, I played with Japanese voices, so... He didn't for me.
Fair. He's been in a lot of videos.
Okay,
anyway,
fair enough.
Garrus Vakarian is great. And then in Mass Effect 1, now this again, spoiler for Mass Effect 1, if you are either like Max Paragon or Max Renegade, you can quite literally talk the final boss into, to be YouTube friendly, putting one in his own head.
Oh, wait, really?
Yes.
That's sick.
So what it does, unfortunately, is it only skips the first phase of the boss fight and takes you to the second phase, but you can genuinely skip that first phase by making him believe he was in the wrong.
That's tremendous.
So it rewards you for choosing to be either really good or really evil, because you can either charm or intimidate him. And I went with really good because I always go with the good guy. I feel so bad when I'm a bad guy in video games.
Me too.
Like, oof.
It's hard.
But yeah, you can genuinely talk him into just taking care of himself and realizing the error of his ways.
Wow. And then you still fight him.
And I was like, that is... Yeah, well, you fight his, like, possessed corpse.
Oh, okay.
Basically.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's super interesting, and it's not something we've seen other Mass Effect games with that I've seen in really other games.
Mm-hmm. It does sound like there's a decent amount of player choice. Like, it doesn't sound like there's an achievement for being evil. It's like there's an achievement for being evil or good.
Yeah, but you have to commit to one side or the
right.
other. You can't kind of
be wishy-washy.
Go neutral. Yeah.
Okay. That's nice that the choice is there, though.
Sorry, there are certain like context actions you can do during dialogue where it's like you left click or right click depending on whether you want to be Paragon or Renegade. That are just optional, kind of QTEs. You can click it when it pops up. There is one in the second game where it's a Renegade option, so an evil option. You're being interviewed by this just bloodthirsty reporter who's like trying to tear you down as much as possible. I didn't realize what the Renegade option would be, so I clicked it. And you just straight up like deck her across the face.
Oh my god.
So Renegade is highly unpredictable.
Okay. I don't know, that sounds pretty fun too.
It was very unexpected because when the prompts come up, it doesn't tell you what's going to happen.
Oh,
you just have to click it and find out.
Right. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. Okay, so for Mass Effect 2, again, I've got to keep this kind of YouTube friendly. This is No One Left Behind. Keep your team alive through the we'll call it final mission. They call it a word that starts with an S that YouTube doesn't like.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah, so this one's interesting because again, I had played Mass Effect 2 previously. I have done this mission previously, and there is a mechanic in the game that you can upgrade your ship using, different parts and resources throughout the game. So you have better shields, better health, better whatever. Which is interesting because the game does not have any ship combat. Like, you don't use your ship in the game outside of cutscenes and stuff.
Okay.
Or as like a base. So you're like, okay, why would I care about upgrading it? Here's what I learned as a child. If you don't upgrade it sufficiently, or certain parts of it, different party members will die depending on what you have and have not upgraded.
Oh, in the final mission?
Yes.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So you can, and that's before you even get like into the enemy base.
Right. Okay. Interesting. That's a cool, good motivation to upgrade.
Yeah. So when I first played it, a couple of my characters died. I was like, oh, this sucks. I liked those characters. I wanted those characters in the final battle with me, and now I can't use them. Mm-hmm. But also, you can make certain choices about like who to put up a biotic barrier, who to do the hacking, who to sneak through this vent.
Right.
And different choices will lead to different characters dying if you make the wrong one.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So you can lose absolutely everyone, including Shepard, in the final mission.
Right at the end of 2.
Yes.
Amazing.
So there is an ending where just everyone is dead.
Okay. I admire them for putting that in.
So keeping everyone alive was huge for me, because I'd never done that.
Oh, okay. That's very cool.
So it was kind of like redeeming my childhood self.
Yeah. Yeah, you had all the experience now to get the actual proper good ending. Mm-hmm. And the guides, I guess.
Yeah, I used a lot of guides for that.
Yeah,
so I was like, I am not messing this up.
Sounds very easy to mess up, so yeah, no wonder you'd use a guide for it.
Now, okay, so Mass Effect 3, I technically have 2. One's for the DLC, because there was some impactful stuff here, I will say. Oh wait, is there not an achievement for it? Hang on. Okay, so the one I know for sure is Last Resort. It's the Citadel DLC that I was talking about previously, just because it's that wonderful send-off. It's that wonderful goodbye to so many characters.
Yeah. Okay, so those are the memorable ones done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any achievements that you would remove from the game?
Honestly, I want to say no, but I'm going to say the Spectre fight just because it's such a giant pain.
That was like the absolute rarest one, right? The one that like nobody else did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people would agree with me. It's there as a skill check that doesn't need to be there.
Right. Yeah, fair enough, honestly. Yeah, why not?
And I think it was changed, because I think it used to be you had to beat it on like Insanity.
Oh god, really? Like in the original games, the original release?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that is yikes.
Do you think you could have done it now that you've done it, presumably on normal?
Ooh, I'd have to replay like a lot to just get back into just the flow of everything.
Fair. Okay. Is there an action or way of playing that you think there should be an official achievement for?
Yes, but it's technically not a way of playing. It is a particular mission. So this requires a bit of context here. Basically, one alien race known as Solarians created the genophage, which was a special virus that reduced the fertility rates of the Krogan, which are the frog dinosaur things.
Right.
Because the Krogan were way too out of hand in terms of like how bloodthirsty and war crazy they were, to the point where they nuked their own world and were just like tearing across the galaxy, invading other people and just slaughtering.
Okay.
So instead of killing the Krogan, they reduced their fertility rate to like 1 in 50 or something, which has made them so, like, given them such a declining population, they're now fighting with each other over females and all this other stuff.
That is quite an interesting solution.
Well, and one of your characters that you meet in Mass Effect 2, Mordin Solus, is a Solarian. We find out over the course of 2 and in Mass Effect 3 that Mordin helped create the genophage.
Okay.
He committed like a genocidal war crime.
Jeez.
And he's still one of my favorite characters.
Okay.
Not because of that. I want to specify not because of that.
Especially because of the genocide.
But
he loves genocide.
You play this mission where Mordin goes to Tachanka, the homeworld of the Krogan, and in secret, he's created a cure for the genophage.
My God.
And you spread this cure, but in the process, Morden dies. And it's one of the most tragic deaths in the entire series, because I love
Especially
Morden.
for
Morden's
you.
fantastic.
You loved him.
Morden's one of like the goofy science character who takes things way too seriously, but then is able to joke here and there. But he and Solarians only lived like 40 years, and he was like 35 or something, so he didn't have a lot of time left, and he knew that. And it's the whole like, I'm gonna be retired soon anyway, I'm gonna die soon anyway, I might as well make my death and my life worth something. And he goes out singing this song of it's kind of like the periodic table song, except it's a Solarian based one. I'm gonna play it in the podcast because it's such a good song.
Okay.
And he goes out singing with a smile on his face. And you're like, Morden, no, you can't do this to me. And it's so, I'm almost like, I'm getting emotional just recounting it. His death scene is just absolutely tragic.
And this mission doesn't have an achievement.
No.
How surprising.
And like, I want it to be just, wait, hang on, I gotta look up the lyrics for this song, because it is gonna kill me.
And Taylor will sing it on
I'm not
air.
gonna sing it. Maybe. I don't know the cadence to it.
Okay.
Hang on, Solarian song. Okay, I'm looking on GameFAQs. Okay, I am the very model of a scientist Solarian. I've studied species Turian, Asarian, Brotarian. I'm quite good at genetics as a subset of biology because I am an expert, which I know is tautology. My xenoscience studies range from urban to agrarian, and I am the very model of a scientist Solarian. It's just such a cute little jingle that he sings in his dying moments as he cures the one major regret he's had his entire life, because he's the last member of this team that made the genophage, and he, in his mind, is the only one who could have made the cure.
That was a lovely song.
I am the very model of a scientist Solarian. I've studied species Turian, Asari, and Batarian. I'm quite good at genetics as a subset of biology because I am an expert, which I know is a tautology. My xenoscience studies range from urban to agrarian. I am the very model of a scientist Solarian.
Sorry, it's so much worse too, because in Mass Effect 2, and I'm gonna rant about this. In Mass Effect 2, he finds one of his old students, a member who studied under him, who was trying to cure the genophage, but he was doing it in a way that killed a number of fertile Krogan females. And Morden has the choice to destroy his research or take his research. It is only if you take his research in the second game and don't destroy it that he's able to make a functioning cure in the third game. So all this death, all this blood on his hands is finally, maybe not absolved, I will leave that up to your personal judgment if like this has absolved him of the crimes he committed, but it is his absolution, his resolution to what he has started. He finished what he started, and his life is now complete, and he dies because of it, and I'm just so sad. He was gonna live in a small little beach house when this was done.
That sounds nice.
Now he's dead.
But he died singing a nice song.
Again, I will put the actual song in as well as my singing, because my singing is terrible, and I also didn't know the lyrics. I was trying to pick up the cadence as I was going along. I was like,
Those
what?
are some big words as well.
Yeah. Anyway, it's so Morden, and I love him so much.
Alright, are you able to soft lock yourself out of any achievements?
Yes, so it's primarily Mass Effects 1 and 2. Because, as I mentioned, Mass Effect 1, Rex can die. If you don't go on enough missions with him beforehand, that does lock you out of that achievement until you do a separate playthrough.
Right.
The other, okay, I mean, technically, too, you can just lock yourself out of any of the companion achievements by not taking them with you.
Because I assume...
It's not to the point where they die, but, like, if you don't take them...
Like, you run out of missions?
You don't get the achievement.
Okay.
And in Mass Effect 2, it's also interesting because if you don't do the loyalty missions for your particular party members, even if you've upgraded your ship fully, they either won't go with you in the final mission, or they will die.
Oh, okay.
Like, they will genuinely choose to abandon you if you don't do their loyalty mission.
Right. Okay, so yeah, there's definitely quite a few missable ones.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's quite a few that, like, if you make the wrong decision during a loyalty mission, you can lock yourself out of getting the achievement.
Oh, jeez. I guess
So, like, Sorry,
I was just gonna say, I assume you played with, like, a guide up most of the way through to make sure you didn't miss these achievements?
I knew most of them. It was, like, some of
okay.
the DLC ones that have you make choices.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I made sure to get all of the loyalty achievements, all that stuff, because, again, they either abandon you or die in the final mission, and you obviously just wouldn't get the achievement for doing their loyalty mission, but I do quantify soft lock as, like, you have fulfilled conditions that mean you can no longer get this achievement. Not just you chose not to do it, the actions you have taken have genuinely locked you out of it.
Yeah, you've gone past a point of no return and you cannot rectify it until another playthrough, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, it is that.
So you played 6 times. How many times do you actually have to play to get all achievements? Is it just 3, theoretically?
Technically, it's 3 and a bit. So the first 2,
Dark Souls specials.
You only have to play through. Yeah, face it. Honestly, you're not wrong. Technically, you only have to play the first 2 once. You know, if you want to do Insanity, try to do everything there. That's fine. It doesn't give you like a particular. You don't need to get a particular ending for a specific achievement. You just need to beat the game.
Okay.
But then Mass Effect 3, similar to like what you said with Dark Souls, you have to go back to upgrade a gun to +10 as opposed to +5, and you only have access to +5 during the first playthrough.
I see.
So it's a giant pain to go back for one gun if you chose to do everything on Insanity the first time.
God, it really is like the Dark Souls special.
Yeah, except
New
this
Game
time
Plus.
with difficulty settings.
Yeah, fair. Does the game reward you for getting all achievements?
Technically, no. You're rewarded for taking actions to get some of the achievements, but there is no reward for like you actually getting the achievements in game.
Okay. I feel like that's pretty common answer for this question.
Yeah.
I think I know the answer to this one, but do the achievements feel rewarding?
For majority, absolutely.
Yeah.
I loved doing this. It felt great. And okay, this is where I'm going to go on my BioWare rant because I have to separate my love for BioWare, at least what BioWare used to be. They are, bless you, questionable these days.
What do they even do these days?
And technically, they did Anthem. They did.
Oh, they did Anthem.
Listen, I'm not proud of them. Okay, I'm like a disappointed father.
Man.
They're working. What did they do before Anthem?
Yeah, what? Andromeda.
They did Andromeda. Yep.
BioWare is based in Edmonton, right? Like they're actually like very
Well,
close.
they've got Edmonton. They've got Montreal. They've got a few different offices. But like since being bought up by EA, it just oof.
Right.
But like, okay, so for context, the reason I used to love BioWare is they did like Star Wars Knights of the Old Republics 1 and 2. They did the Mass Effect trilogy. They did the Dragon Age trilogy. They did Jade Empire. They did Neverwinter Nights. They did Baldur's Gate, like 1 and 2. Oh god, they did Sonic Chronicles of the Black Knight.
They did a Sonic game.
Apparently.
Amazing.
But like they were not necessarily the kings of RPGs, but they were well known to be some of the best RPG makers out there.
For sure, yeah.
And now they put things out like Anthem and
Nothing else.
Mass Effect Andromeda and anyway.
And now they're going back to Dragon Age, and everyone's like, eh.
Yeah, I'm very hesitant about that. But funnily enough, I have planned for the 3rd year anniversary, at the very least, Dragon Age Inquisition, because the first 2 don't have official achievements outside of an EA tracking thing in game that I don't know if it's still up.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Anyway, and I say that because I love BioWare, or what they used to be, and I love the stories they crafted, and I don't know, the achievements themselves do feel rewarding, like I appreciate that I got them, but at the same time, they're so much more rewarding for me personally because of the stories that are attached to them, because of the experiences I had while getting them.
Right.
And it's the fact that BioWare has, at the time, put so much love, blood, sweat, tears, and energy into crafting this great, expansive story, these characters that have carried on through 3 massive games that you're spending at least 60 hours in per game. Okay, maybe about 60, that's a bit of a stretch, but, like 40 hours per game, roughly. And you get to know these characters inside and out. You get to experience the drama and the situations that they go through, experience love, loss, all that good stuff, but like it genuinely feels like a proper RPG experience. And it's hard, again, for me to separate that love of the game and that love of the experience from the achievements themselves.
Right. But ultimately, yes, they're rewarding, mostly because the game itself is rewarding to play.
Yeah, and I think, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like that's the way it is for a lot of the games when we do say they're rewarding or not, but it's not one of the games that makes you feel like you have to go out of your way to get everything. It's not one of the games that makes you feel like you're doing something you wouldn't normally do in some cases. Like some of the ones where it's like, okay, use this ability 20 times. Sure, you're going out of your way for that, but it's not a common theme. There's nothing major that I'm going out of my way for, that I'm doing something I wouldn't normally do in terms of these achievements, so it doesn't detract from them. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sort of related, does it feel like the devs cared about the achievements?
Here's the thing, I said yes and no for this one, because some of them it feels like they did, and some of it feels like they didn't. It really depends, not even on the game, but just like on the achievement itself.
Right.
Because like they cared about some achievements, they didn't care about others, and I don't know how I feel about that. Like some of them, again, were use a specific power X number of times. That's boring.
Yeah.
Others were like, oh, have the romances, do these great missions, do these things. And I'm so torn, because Mass Effect 1, it definitely is harder to say they cared about it. That one's a little more cookie cutter. But even Mass Effect 2 and 3, like they had some really interesting ones, but again, I feel like I'm associating the achievements more with what I did to get them as opposed to what the achievement itself entails.
Right. And also, like you were saying, with that one Mass Effect 1 achievement where it's do the majority of stuff, like that achievement to me feels like they didn't care enough about that one to like update it or something for the Legendary Edition.
Or like quantify what majority actually means.
Exactly, yeah. So yeah, I can see why this one's like a yes and rough. No for you. Mm-hmm. Do the achievements require you to get 100% in games?
In Mass Effect 1, no. In Mass Effect 2, no. In Mass Effect 3, no. But Mass Effect 1 comes pretty damn close.
Right.
Because you have to get all the codex entries and everything like that. So I would say they require you to get about between 80 to 90% on average.
Okay.
But it's really close to that 100%, but like you don't need to get every single codex entry for every single little thing to be able to do it.
Right. And apparently you don't even have to do all the missions in Mass Effect 1, you just have to do a majority of them.
Yeah, oh god, the word majority is so triggering.
It's very funny, honestly. Do the achievements feel unique in the genre? I'm not quite sure how you want to classify this genre.
Yeah, this is a hard one, because like in terms of BioWare games, I would say it's like it fits in with their style of how they like to do things. There was a lot of companion focused achievements, a lot of mission focused achievements, a few ability focused achievements. Like it's very their style. Mm-hmm. As a wider RPG space, I would say it's kind of meh. Like it fits in again with the relatively cookie cutter. Okay, do this mission, you get an achievement for that. Use this ability X number of times, you get an achievement for that. Where it differs from, I guess, a more traditional Western RPG at the very least, is it does focus more on the companions, focus more on those loyalty missions, which they do love to include in a lot of their RPGs, which is fine. I like it because it adds more depth to a character. So from a like a Western RPG standpoint, it stands out in terms of its characters and the character-based achievements. But in terms of like BioWare RPG, it's right in that kind of sweet spot. Which again, these were the golden years of BioWare. Admittedly, closer to the end of those golden years, but it still felt like a proper BioWare game. So It's a meh and a meh.
Okay, fair enough. That question's always sometimes quite hard to answer.
Yeah, that's fair.
You kind of briefly touched on this earlier, but did you use any guides?
Yes, I used a couple actually. So I found I think what would be a better one because it has just like text for most of it and then video guides when necessary.
Right.
So I will include that in the description down below. It's just the Mass Effect Legendary Edition 100% Achievement Guide. So I think it's good. I don't think it's the one I used, but I think it's one that would be beneficial regardless.
Okay.
Because like I said, it separates out what are the ones for the collection as a whole versus what ones do you get a number 1, what ones do you get a number 2, and what ones do you get a number 3.
Okay, that's helpful. Mm-hmm. I assume you would not recommend people try and blindly get all achievements in this game. You essentially need a guide.
No, not a chance.
Okay.
Because you're going to miss something and you're going to be real mad about it.
Yeah, it does sound like there's a lot of missable stuff.
Yeah, half of these are labeled missable in brackets on this guide.
Okay.
And like they've covered up the story, like the spoiler section, so that's if you're worried about that, they are, sufficiently covered.
Yeah, sounds like the right kind of guide to use for it.
Mm-hmm.
Has it changed the way you look at the game?
This is a weird one because I've only, ever played the second two actually, and I've never played the first one, but in a way, yes, because it's encouraged me to experience more of the game than I might have otherwise. And like, I like to do the main missions, I like to do the side missions. I'm very much a do a majority kind of guy. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, there were things that I would not have experienced or play styles that I would not have tried out if not for those achievements. And so, yeah, I think it absolutely has. And I mean, I don't regret a minute of it outside of the stupid Spectre fight.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, next question was going to be, do you regret it? But I don't know. I think for the most part, we're not gonna. No, I've answered no to that, or I've answered yes to that sometimes.
Yeah, I think you've answered yes more than I have.
True. I don't know if you've regretted any so far.
I think. See, here's the thing. I think I can't bring myself to say yes to this question only because then it would feel like, what did I spend all of this time and energy for?
You're like admitting you wasted
time.
If
I hated it that much, why would I bring myself to do it? So maybe it's not that I don't necessarily regret some of them, it's that I can't bring myself to admit regretting them.
Okay, interesting. I'm going to see if I can tease it out of you sometime.
Oh, God.
Honestly, like, we both have so many games to pick from now when doing this podcast. Like,
yeah, and especially with me bringing, like, other guests, it gives me more time to pick and be more selective, which I appreciate, and just, I don't know, I like having, guests like you, guests like Robbie, or Chris, or Fitz, or Britt, or soon-to-be James, because they bring in games that I never would have played.
Yeah.
And it just brings a whole new experience to the podcast.
Yeah, I don't know, I love this podcast. Okay, final question. Would you recommend other people go for all achievements on this?
I think if you're someone who, like me, goes for 80 to 90% on most games anyway, and if you're a fan of BioWare, if you're a fan of the Mass Effect franchise, absolutely. Like, I'm not a big fan of sci-fi. I've already admitted that. I'm much more fantasy based. But if you like the characters, if you like what BioWare used to be, and if you have a passing knowledge of the Mass Effect franchise, and you can get through the first game, which it takes a little while, but once you're there, you're fine. Like, it takes a while to get into, but once you understand the mechanics, understand how it works, you're fine. I found it easier when I watched a Let's Play by someone like a YouTuber I really enjoyed generally, that helped me kind of, and he is very knowledgeable about the game. I want to stress this. He said a lot in his Let's Play about how the systems work, how everything breaks down and all that, so I found that very helpful and very just relieving on a personal level, because then I have information that I would have either had to try to find on my own or experience through the game, which is not explained very well all the time. So if you're that kind of player, absolutely go for it. If you're the kind of player who just wants to play for the story, play for the story. Especially because Insanity difficulty can be rough sometimes. Yeah. The games with achievements, or with difficulty-based achievements, are always a little bit of a maybe not so much recommend ones. Especially with this stupid Spectre fight.
Yeah, they.
Oh, I can't.
It is the rarest one for a reason. It sounds like.
It's because it's one of those DLC like super boss fights. So it's not even just a super boss fight they programmed with the intention of you being, normal level. It's like, nope, DLC, extra stuff, make it extra hard. I'll strangle somebody.
But not the Spectres.
I can't even get close.
Okay, well those are all the questions.
Yeah, so I've got 2 questions for you, John,
Uh-oh.
and this is a new question I want to add into the podcast on a more regular basis.
Okay.
Because you're the host, after hearing me recount my experiences, you told me what little you've played of the series, do you have any interest in trying to go for all achievements in the game, or at the very least playing the franchise?
Not a chance.
Okay.
No, I tried it. I was so excited to try it when the Legendary Edition came out. Like, I think I had 1 and 2 on Steam. I just never got around to trying them, and then they announced the collection. I was like, everyone loves Mass Effect. I'm so excited to try this. And I just could not stand it and gave up on it really quickly. So no, I have no interest in even returning to play it, like, even slightly casually.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Also, this is kind of anecdotal. I know you had mentioned you were gonna try to look up your statistics in terms of like how the number of games you've gotten AA for before or pre and post podcasts. Did you ever finish that list?
I did. Yes.
As did I.
Excellent.
So tell you what, let's add in a little 2-year special. John and I will be discussing how our habits have changed in terms of getting achievements pre and post start of the podcast.
Excellent.
So, John, let me tell you what. I'll start off with you. Do you know roughly how many you got, like, pre-podcast starting?
When are we saying the podcast started?
We're going to say the release of episode 0, which was supposed to be episode 1, which would have been May 24th, 2022.
Okay. Okay, so I'll count 2022 post-podcast.
Okay.
Just let me do some quick maths.
Quick maths.
So pre-podcast, wow, my pre-podcast total is 39 perfect games.
Huh, okay. That's actually more than I expected.
And then my post-podcast total so far is 24.
Oh my god.
So, actually, so funnily enough, since starting the podcast, I've hit 9 perfect games a year. Every year.
Wow.
But I'm already on pace to beat that this year.
Well, especially too with your Final Fantasy collection.
Yeah, those are really helping because they're not a huge investment.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh my god, that's way more than I was expecting.
Yeah, so my total right now is 63 perfect games in total. This is just on Steam, so it goes back to 2014.
Okay, so you had 39 between 2014 and 2022, so that's roughly 8 years. But in the 2 years since then, you've gotten at least 24.
Yeah, so like...
That's insane.
If you look at the perfect games per year, pre-podcast, the highest is 8, but the average is about 4. And then if we look at post-podcast, they're all 9.
Oh my god, that's
so
awesome.
Yes, evidently the podcast has absolutely changed my my playing habits.
That's crazy. But not quite as crazy as mine, I hate to say.
Okay, yeah, I'm interested to hear yours.
So, okay, technically I've lost out on a couple perfect games, quote unquote, because of how, they've added achievements. So I did want to kind of include the ones that I've still lost it for, even though because I did have it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So pre-podcast, I only had 8. Which is way less than I was expecting. Yeah, right?
That's way less than I was expecting.
I had to have more than 8. But no, I only had 8.
Do you know...
Since starting the podcast... Sorry,
I was just going to say, do you know when that started? Because, I know mine started 2014.
Oh god, mine would have. I think mine would have been around 2015, 2016.
Okay, so it's a fairly similar.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Now, since starting the podcast, I have gotten 20.
Holy crap!
So I've almost tripled.
Oh
it.
my goodness.
And man, I don't know. Like for me, I think the podcast has had like a bigger impact in terms of me thinking about going for all achievements, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it's also made me sit back and wonder, okay, what games do I really want to get all achievements for? And like, I'm not gonna lie, I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that are sitting at like, I'm missing between 2 and 5.
Oh, okay.
But I just know I'm not gonna go for it.
Yeah. I've got a couple of those.
And then there's things like Stardew where they added in more with the most recent update.
Right. Yeah. But you did get perfect in that one before.
Yeah, I had perfect in it before. Fae Farm, I was missing only 1. Now they've added more. I'm gonna wait for the next DLC, and then I'll probably complete that one.
Oh yeah.
And like, I've noticed that my completion percentage on average has gone up.
Yeah.
But the number of games themselves has not increased as dramatically.
Interesting.
Actually, do you know what the average completion in terms of achievements is for your games?
Oh god, is that on Steam somewhere?
Yeah, if you go to your library, and if you go to all games, I think it tells you. Or hang on. If you go to all games, achievement completion. I know it used to tell you the average completion rate. Hang on. Or if you go to Steam profile. Okay, I have a rarest achievement showcase. That's why. So I have an average game completion rate of 41%.
Oh, okay. Mine is 27%.
Oh, okay. But you also own significantly more games than I do.
I own 4,339 games.
And I own 709. Actually, how many achievements do you have in total? Because I have 5,716.
7,374.
Oh my god. We're going to break that 10,000 mark pretty soon.
Yeah. Yeah, I really am.
So, do you think the podcast has like changed your outlook on getting all achievements?
Yeah, I'm trying to work out if the podcast changed it or if I was changing to want achievements at that
In
time
general?
anyway, because like
Okay.
if I look at my stats in the first 2 years of me being a PC gamer, 2014 and 2015, I got 1 perfect game a year. When I first started playing games on PC, I did not care about achievements. I think when I was playing games on PS3, didn't care about trophies. And then just somewhere along the way, I evidently started it because I feel like I wouldn't have agreed to be on the podcast or to do Dark Souls if I wasn't kind of more interested in getting all achievements. So I think I think the timing kind of did coincide, but I do think the podcast has changed, has probably made me more willing to go for all achievements in games that I might otherwise have skipped, I think.
Okay. Do you think our Dark Souls journey had anything to do with that?
It's hard to... Yeah, probably, because the Dark Souls games were games I loved and that I had almost all achievements in, but there was always a couple that just held me back. So I think once we ticked all those off, it kind of, opened my mind to doing more games, I guess.
Okay, that's fair.
I do...
See, Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's interesting that you seem to be going back through your library and looking at games you've previously played and being like, oh, I should get all achievements in that because I liked it when I played it. But mine seems to be, oh, I'm playing this new game, I'm enjoying it, I'll go for all achievements. I don't tend to go back that much.
Interesting. Yeah, and I'm not worried about getting all achievements in new games. I barely play new games these days because I'm so focused on my back catalog and trying to get some of those bigger titles.
Yeah, I think mine is definitely also affected by the overarching need to do a top 5 video at the end of the year. I feel like I have to play new games,
Fair.
which is kind of tough sometimes.
Yeah, that's fair. I had this weird obsession with trying to do trilogies.
Yes.
Like if I liked the trilogy.
Yes, you do.
So like I got, and I haven't talked about it yet, the Darksiders trilogy. I've got, for the most part, the Mafia trilogy, the Dark Souls trilogy, the Mass Effect trilogy, Dragon Age trilogy, if I could work on it.
Yeah.
The Call of Duty Modern Warfare trilogy outside of 3, because 3 has some garbage achievements that are locked behind DLC.
Yeah, you go for the very big time sink ones.
Yeah, I don't go for many like just throwaway ones.
No, and I definitely sometimes do. Like some of the perfect games on my list are like 2-3 hour experiences.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's great.
But those are games I quite like.
But yeah, just some of these games, I'm just like, okay, genuinely, I want to get my completion percentage rate up to like 60-70%.
Damn. That's hard when you
so
buy
part of
like.
that's gonna mean going back.
Don't you buy like Humble Choice like every month?
No, I haven't done Humble Choice for a long time actually.
Oh, okay. But like if you.
But yeah, like that was a problem for a time. Just it kept adding new things to my list.
Yeah, if you're getting bundles of games, like sometimes you buy a bundle for 1 or 2 games, and then there's these games that you're probably not going to play. Like that's definitely a problem in my library.
The thing is though, it only counts games that you've actually played.
Oh, okay.
So in terms of achievement completion rate. So if you have not played a game, it will not count it towards your rate.
I wonder how idling for Steam cards affects that.
I would think it does, because it will say 0% achievements.
Yeah. So that's probably messes up my stats a little bit. So that might be why my 27 or my game completion rate's 27%, which just seemed kind of low.
Yeah, because it would be counting every game you've technically quote unquote played.
Yeah, because I've launched a lot of games. Yeah, interesting.
Now I'm curious, do you think like the type of game you've been playing has changed as a result of the podcast? Like, have you tried to go for more small time experiences, or have you tried to go for bigger experiences, or is it just kind of, I happen to be playing this, I'll do it?
No, I think it's definitely the latter. It's just I pick a game I want to play at that exact moment, and I think I'm just slightly more likely to go for all achievements in it.
Okay.
I just pick what I want to play, really. I don't pick based on the achievements, I don't think.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Because, there's so many that I want to clear out of my backlog, or, like, get back onto the perfect games list.
I can understand that, especially if, like, you had perfect game, or perfect in it at one point.
Well, there are 3 that I have to do, which is Choo Choo Charles, Stardew Valley, and Cyberpunk.
Right.
Because they've all added achievements since then. And I'm so mad about it.
Stardew should be pretty quick, at least.
Stardew, I have to get the 100% completion.
Oh, God.
Like, perfect ending.
Jesus.
Which, I'm gonna go back and, like, use the character I used before, but still not gonna be easy.
No, definitely not.
And that's gonna take a while. Like, I'm definitely holding off on ones that I had at one point. Especially because I want to get Dragon Age going so it's ready for year 3.
Plus...
Because, again, Dragon Age and BioWare is super important to me.
Yeah. And also, like you said, when you get all achievements in a game, it's usually you saying goodbye to a game, so you're not, not super willing to suddenly hop back into a game that you had said goodbye to.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I can't wait to see what happens with Elden Ring.
Others lined up and everything. I've got a whole process that doesn't always work out properly. Especially when like a new game is thrown into the mix.
Yeah, very fair.
There was one other thing I was gonna ask, but I don't remember what it was. Oh, right, I was gonna talk about why I got into achievement hunting, because I used to be kind of an achievement hunter on Xbox. Not the biggest achievement hunter of all time, and I had never gotten a perfect game.
Right.
But I'm not gonna lie, part of the reason I started the channel and the podcast and everything is not just the encouragement from you or Kat, which were major catalysts in it, but it was my stepdad getting cancer and watching him fade. Just watching him fade in general, but also that idea that he was a university professor. He left a legacy behind of all the kids that he's taught, just like I said, my stepdad passing left a legacy, and it's not like, I don't think this YouTube channel is gonna be some great legacy or anything like that, but it's a reminder that I was here. It's a reminder that I had something, that I tried to do something with my own hands.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I don't know, it's that sense that I made something that can live on. Like, it's something, not something that I was involved in, it's something that I physically made and had, control over, that I had everything to do with, so to speak.
Yeah, that's a really nice reason to have started it, honestly.
And just, the achievements more come into this in the sense that it gives me that sense of closure, that sense of, I've done everything in this game, I can say goodbye to it. I don't leave lingering regrets.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't do that. I think I'm like always willing to go back to a game if I like it.
And that's fair. I think, I definitely look at games a little differently than most people, which is fine with me. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, we should probably wrap this up before I get really rambly. So, ladies, first of all, thank you, John, for being here. I really appreciate it.
Of course, that I'm honored that you wanted me to be your co-host on this special episode.
Couldn't have done it without anyone else.
Thank you.
And thank you, ladies, gentlemen, everyone in between and beyond, so much for being here, for listening to me ramble way more than I should have. I know this was a bit of a disjointed episode, so I hope you appreciated it. Thank you if you've been around for the whole 2 years, if you're brand new to the channel. If you find this 3 years from now and decide to hit the subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. May or may not be making videos by that point. I just appreciate you all for being here, whether, again, that's a short or long time. Let me know down below, do you go for all achievements? How do you feel about games, and how have games impacted your life? How have games shaped you as a person, if in any way? I'd love to know all your thoughts, feelings, everything like that down below. I guess with all that being said, we'll see you for hopefully another year of content. Alright, we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!
Bye!